Welcome to today's Tea Time audio story. It's time to slow down, take a deep breath, and enjoy a moment just for you. As you sip your favorite tea, let your mind drift into the world of stories, where imagination comes alive and anything is possible. Listening to audio stories isn't just entertaining, it's also a wonderful way to relax, spark creativity, and improve your English in a natural and enjoyable way. Stories have the power to transport us to far-off places, introduce us to new characters, and remind us of life's little lessons. So whether you're here to unwind, learn something new, or simply enjoy a quiet escape, this is your time. Get comfortable, let your worries melt away, and allow today's story to take you on a journey. Let the magic begin. Leanna had spent years chasing an idea of perfection. A version of herself that was flawless, composed, and unwavering. It was an image shaped by society, by whispered comments, by the haunting gaze of mirrors. And for too long, she believed that her worth was measured by her ability to reach that impossible standard. But perfection had always been an illusion. And now, she was learning to let it go. It started on an ordinary morning. Leanna stood in front of the mirror, wearing a simple dress that clung to her in places she had once hated. She studied her reflection, not with judgment, but with curiosity. She traced the lines of her body with her eyes, the soft curve of her stomach, the strength in her thighs, the small scars that marked her journey. She didn't turn away from them. She didn't wish them gone. She saw them for what they were. Evidence of a life lived. A body that had carried her through joy and sorrow, strength and struggle. And she whispered the words that had taken her years to believe. I am whole. I don't need to be perfect. The realization settled slowly, like sunlight warming her skin. Wholeness didn't mean flawlessness. It meant acceptance. It meant embracing every part of her journey, every part of herself. She talked about it with Claire, her voice steady but uncertain. I'm learning to accept the parts of me that I used to hate, Leanna said. The parts that aren't perfect. Claire smiled gently. Acceptance isn't resignation. It's understanding. It's saying, this is me, and I am enough. But it's hard, Leanna admitted. Some days, I still want to change. I still want to be better. Better doesn't mean perfect, Claire replied. Better means growth. And growth is ongoing. But your worth doesn't change. It's constant. And those words anchored deep within Leanna. She carried them with her, a quiet mantra. She learned to see her journey as a cycle, not a finish line. There were days when she felt strong and fearless, and days when doubt crept in. But she no longer saw those moments as failures. They were part of the whole. Part of being human. She shared those truths on her blog, writing about the beauty of imperfection, the courage it took to accept herself without condition. She wrote about the scars that still ached and the fears that still whispered, but she also wrote about the freedom that came from letting go. Her readers responded with gratitude, with their own stories of struggle and strength. They thanked her for her honesty, for showing them that they too could be whole, even when they felt broken. And in their words, Leanna found healing too. Noah saw the change in her, the ease that softened her shoulders, the smile that lingered longer. You seem lighter, he said one evening, as they sat on the porch, watching the sun melt into the horizon. Leanna smiled. I think I am. Because you're finally letting yourself be enough? She nodded. Because I'm finally letting myself be human. Noah reached for her hand, his fingers warm and sure. You've always been enough. And she believed him. Not because she needed his words to define her, but because she had already started believing it for herself. There were still moments when old fears stirred. Days when she questioned her progress, when she wondered if she was slipping backward. But now, she met those fears with grace. With patience. She would stand in front of the mirror and say, "I am more than this reflection." She would write in her journal, affirming her worth beyond numbers, beyond size. And she would remind herself that perfection was never the goal. Wholeness was. She found joy in the imperfections. In the meals that didn't go as planned but still filled her with warmth. In the workouts that left her breathless, even when they were hard. In the laughter that came from shared mistakes, from moments that weren't perfect but were real. She learned that beauty lived in those flaws. That her scars told a story worth honoring. And she embraced it all. Leanna began hosting gatherings that celebrated imperfection. Potlucks where nothing had to be perfect, where burnt cookies and misshapen bread were welcomed with laughter. She shared stories about the journey, the struggles, the fears, the victories. She created a space where people could come as they were. Whole. Imperfect. Enough. And in that space, she felt more herself than she ever had before. Her blog grew, not because it was polished, but because it was honest. She shared the messy days, the doubts, the moments of grace. And people responded, not with judgment, but with love. With their own stories of acceptance, of finding strength in the imperfect. Leanna learned that by sharing her truth, she gave others permission to embrace theirs. And that was enough. More than enough. She talked about it with Claire during one of their final sessions. "I used to think I'd feel complete when I reached my goal weight, when I looked a certain way," Leanna said. "But I think I'm already complete. Not because I'm perfect, but because I accept myself. All of me." Claire smiled, her eyes warm. "That's real growth. That's love." And it was. Love for herself. For her body. For her journey. Leanna walked through the world differently now. Not lighter because she'd shed pounds, but because she'd shed the weight of perfection. She stood taller. She smiled easier. She was whole. Not perfect. But whole. And that was everything. Thank you for joining today's Tea Time story. We hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of imagination and storytelling. Whether it made you smile, sparked a new thought, or simply gave you a moment to relax, we're grateful to have shared this time with you. Thank you for listening and being part of our story time. Keep dreaming, keep imagining, and we'll see you again for another magical tale soon. Until next time, take care and happy listening.